welcome you this morning. We are here in person at Sophie's Grill and Bar, and wherever you are is absolutely one and the same. I'm going to start today, as I usually do, as we always do, with a meditation that will last about 15 minutes. The purpose of the meditation is to not only prepare the space that we're in, but also to open us up, to quiet that busyness of the day, to open our eyes and ears and hearts so we can hear what needs to be heard. So I invite you at this moment to settle in. And then I'm going to do a little exercise with you before I do a reading. First thing I want you to do is get comfortable, and I want you to breathe normally. We're going to do this for 1 minute, and I want you to count the number of breaths that you have in 1 minute. And I'll tell you when that minute is up. You can go. Okay, you can stop counting and just make a mental note of that number. This isn't a competition, it's just an exercise. And now we're going to spend another minute when I start. But this time I want you to slow down your breath. I want you, when you breathe in just one more smidge than what you normally do. And when you breathe out, take one more smidge. You don't have to count, just stop. Okay, stop. And now we're just going to breathe normally again. But this time I would like you to count the number of breaths. Get started. All right, you can stop. If you're like most people, even your normal breath, after slowing down even for a mindful moment, is slower. And slow breathing helps us connect internally, helps us be more available to the present moment. And that's really all we have. So, what I'd like to do now is a reading from Ernest Holmes. And he says, "The source of all things forever reveals itself as God." Is good. I'm sorry. God is not only within me, he is also around me and is in my experience at all times. Deep within myself, I know the divine presence. This knowing makes me receptive to divine fulfillment. The truth about myself is not only perfect being, but also perfect situation at all times. The good in me evolves out of the spirit within me and concludes only in right action and greater good. My consciousness is life itself, free of all impediment. The permanent good of God resides in every situation. When circumstances seem to hide reality, I let go and let God act for me. Deep within me is the answer to any question I might have. I let divine wisdom be my guide. As I turn from negativity and fear, my rightful place is shown to me. I not only have faith, but I have complete knowledge that all my prayers of affirmation are answered. As my consciousness accepts this truth, I am made free to accept my blessings. In back of me is the potential of the universe. I declare new horizons will open for me, new ideas will flow to me, and a better world of joy and peace will be revealed. And so it is. So I ask you now just to close your eyes and we'll spend a little bit of time just in quiet meditation. taking a deep, deep breath in, letting it out very slowly. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for participating this morning to not only prepare our external space, but also the internal space. It makes a difference. It makes a difference to each and every one of us and each and every sentient being on the planet. So thank you. I just want to say another word of thanks and say that the service will resume at 10:45. See you then. Bye.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living and our Sunday celebration service. I'm so very glad that you have either chosen to join us here at Sophie's Grill and Bar, or you've invited us into your own homes through the power of live streaming. Thank you very, very much for joining us. For those of you who might not know me, my name is Dusty Rippelmeyer, and I have the honor and the privilege of being this community's spiritual director. We're part of a larger organization called Centers for Spiritual Living, and we believe that there is one power and presence back of everything that there is, seen and unseen. It is the creative energy that has created everything. It is everywhere at all times in its fullness and in its wholeness. And because we were created by it in its image and likeness, then we too are creative. And we actually do create the experiences of our lives. We do so either consciously or unconsciously. So for me, that's the really good news, because if we're not liking the experience of our lives right now in this moment, then we have the power and the ability to change it, to create a different life. something that we perhaps like better. And that is just entails changing our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, and then making different choices around those. So we come together many times throughout the week, or throughout the month, I should say, through classes and services and social events, to really celebrate this fact and to support each other on our spiritual paths. We welcome all of you that have been attending our services, our workshops, our classes, our special events, and we welcome those of you who are visiting for the very, very first time. We see all of you. We know who you really are. We celebrate you. We're grateful for you, and we love you. Thank you very much for joining us today. I first would like to say that yesterday we had our first outreach project after a couple of years of hiatus because of, well, you know why. So we were able to gather at Casa, and there were 12 of us, and we spent the morning from 9 o'clock until 12 o'clock beautifying their space, raking and mulching and shoveling and brushing and planting all different kinds of plants in their beautiful planters. And we also gave them what they were calling a gift. So it was a spaghetti meal that was all contained in one big basket, and that all they had to do was to cook it. And they were grateful for all of it. It was so much fun. And as we always say, that it's the best gift that we can give ourselves is to be in service to someone else. And so I thank the 12 people that showed up. Here's a picture. You can see some of us there. I thank everyone for showing up and for really giving so generously of your time and your talent. It was a really amazing, beautiful, and really wonderful way to spend the morning. So thank you very much to the outreach committee for getting it all set up and really coordinating it all. Maya Lisa and her husband Dave, and also to Susan Krupa. So thank you so very much, everyone. Today's flower dedication, these beautiful flowers right here, are dedicated to Susan Robinson from her beloved small group, her Sangha circle, if you will. They say, "There are those who walk quietly among us, gentle ones who notice a need and attend to it without fanfare. The listeners, the huggers, the givers. Susan Robinson is one of these. She is a rare flower who blooms in every soil. She says yes to what is given, adds her best to it, and humbly makes sure that you shine. Her words are thoughtful, kind, wise, and earnest. She is quick to find the funny, willing to sit with the challenging, and weep openly, because sometimes life is both beautiful and brutal. We are so blessed to have you as our soulmate, Susan, and our love for you is giddy and deep and easy. Happy birthday, dear wonderful you, from all of our hearts. Love, your inner circle." My gratitude and appreciation goes out to Marianne Hardy, one of our licensed spiritual practitioners, who facilitated a beautiful meditation this morning to set the stage for our service to unfold within. Thank you so very much, Marianne. And speaking of Marianne, please welcome her back to the podium, licensed spiritual practitioner Marianne Hardy.
Good morning again. The theme for the year 2022 is Living Everyday Wonder. Our theme for the month of April is Creativity. Reverend Dusty's talk title today is Boldly Go. I'm now going to read this community's purpose statement, which is our reason for being here. Our purpose is to inspire, educate, and empower individuals to experience themselves as unique and individualized expressions of God, the love intelligence that governs the universe. We are committed to not merely a theoretical understanding of our oneness and unity with God, but to practice this truth in our everyday lives. Through celebration, service, study, and fellowship, we are committed to the transformation of our personal lives and to being a powerful and beneficial presence on this planet. With the energy of unconditional love, simply, we are here for God. Now I ask you to just get quiet, to open your hearts and minds. Take a minute to prepare to receive what will come next. And just let the sounds of the crystal bowls wash over you. Please bring your attention back into your bodies, back into the room. The Triangle Center for Spiritual Living honors the diversity and threads of truth that run through all spiritual paths as represented by this ceremony. Please welcome Stephanie and Nora, who will be assisting us this morning. Christianity is the path of Christ consciousness, love, and forgiveness. Buddhism is the path of compassion and understanding. Judaism is the ethical path of living by sacred law. Baha'i is the path of unity and peace. Islam is the path of submission to the will of God, the highest calling. Confucianism is the path of deliberate tradition. Taoism is the natural way, the path of ultimate reality. Native American practice and shamanic traditions are the paths of primal spirituality. Shintoism is the path of tribal ancestry.
Hinduism is the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Science of mind and spirit is the path of the divine principle of love and law. And the heart represents the one heart, the one love that resides at the center of all people and all beings everywhere, with no exceptions. May peace prevail on earth through the followers of all paths. And so it is. Thank you. And now I invite you to turn within as I speak a word of blessing on the service, recognizing the one source, the one power back of all of creation. I know that source as infinite wisdom, infinite intelligence, profound love, welcomed peace, exuberant joy. I know that source is everywhere, all of the time, always present. I know that I am one with all of those qualities of God, that I am one with the wisdom, one with the peace and joy. There is no separation between source and who I am, that I am a spiritual being living a human experience. I know that as the truth of me, as I know that as the truth of those listening here at Sophie's and online, wherever they may be in this moment, and all of those listening in the future, and every sentient being, that we are all one. We are connected by that golden thread. I speak a word of blessing on this celebration service today. Blessing Reverend Dusty as she comes forth to bring about this title of Boldly Go, knowing that we will each hear what we are invited to hear today, that will open our minds and our hearts to boldly go forth in our lives. I speak a word of blessing on Karen as she brings her gift of music and song, that it blesses us in this moment and blesses us in the week ahead, carrying the music in our hearts. I speak a word of blessing on Ava as she holds down the AV duties today. Grateful for her expertise. And I speak a word of blessing on Mary Ann Hardy, who started today's service with a beautiful meditation. And I speak a word of blessing on our community, the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living, and each of us that make up this wonderful community that blesses each other, blesses our community, and blesses the world as we do the work of creating a world that works for everyone. I'm so grateful for these truths and grateful for this now moment. If you will anchor this prayer with me with our words, and so it is. Thank you. The reading for today is from Deepak Chopra and Ralph Marston. Deepak says, relinquish your attachment to the known, step into the unknown, and you will step into the field of all possibilities. You will have excitement, adventure, mystery. You will experience the fun of life, the magic, the celebration, the exhilaration, and the exaltation of your own spirit. And Ralph Marston says, go ahead and face that fear, make that effort, move forward into new territory, and fully live the grand possibilities, that which you're blessed. Boldly face life, and you'll find it to be better than you've ever imagined. And now, better than we've ever imagined, the wonderful Karen Daly.
Thank you, Annie. Woo. Good morning, everybody. Good to see your faces. So this song came out in the 70s, and for me, it was sort of reminded me, and I don't know what Carole King had in mind when she wrote the song, just to begin with, because obviously she probably had her own thoughts. But for me, it was whenever I was sort of getting ready to hit the road or go on a cool little adventure, it just sort of made me excited about it. And it also reminded me a little bit of doing inner work sometime. So let's boldly go. Way over yonder is a place that I know, where I can find shelter from hunger and cold, and the sweet taste and good life is so easily found. Way over yonder, that's where I am bound. And I know when I get there, well, the first thing I'll see is the sunshine and gold dust shining right down on me. And then trouble will lose me, and worry leave me behind, and I'll stand up proudly in true peace of mind. So maybe tomorrow, well, I'll find my way to the land where the honey runs in rivers each day. And that sweet taste and good life is so easily found. Way over yonder, that's where I am bound. Way over yonder, that's where I am bound.
Woo! Boldly go. Way over yonder. Makes perfect sense to me. Thank you so very much, Karen. That was absolutely beautiful. So when I first heard this talk title, the title of this message for today, Boldly Go, I immediately thought of the famous quote by Captain James Kirk, who said, "Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Her 5-year mission, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has ever gone before." To be completely transparent, I'm not quite sure where that came from. That quote came from. It must have been from the really deep unconscious resources of, or recesses of, my consciousness, because I'm not really a Trekkie. Not at all. When I was a freshman in college, a group of friends and I would always eat together dinner together in the dining hall. And when we were finished eating, we would go to one or the other's dorm room and we'd lay out some pillows. And it was always under the pretense of watching Star Trek. Now, for me, it was just an opportunity for 20 winks before I started my studying for the evening. And I would have to say that during that entire year, my entire freshman year, I really only stayed awake for 2 episodes. Just being honest. One was the Tribbles, and the other one was a rerun of the Tribbles. But I was committed. I was really committed to understanding why this quote came up to me. And in preparation for my message, I came across a book called The Metaphysics of Star Trek. Who even knew such a thing existed? So, of course, I immediately went on Amazon and I ordered it. And a couple of days later, through Amazon Prime, I got it. And I opened it up and I very quickly really understood that I was in way over my head. I couldn't even understand it. It became apparent that I really needed to have some underlying idea about who each of the characters was and what they were up to and what each one of the episodes were about. And I had no idea who any of them were or what they were up to. And so I looked at the book for a little bit of time, but it became very frustrating because I had absolutely no idea, and there was no way I was going to be able to wrap this up into a little tiny talk. But what I did really get was that there are some very beautiful underlying foundational ideas about Star Trek and the mission and the world in which everyone was living at that time that really resonated with me and resonate with our teaching. So Star Trek, as conceived by Gene Roddenberry, portrays the epic saga of humanity's exploration of space, and in turn, their own struggles as a species. Every episode and every movie of Star Trek is really a morality tale in which human beings find solutions to conflict through wit or science or even enlightenment, which at the time was really basically a belief in our potential as sentient beings, that we could and had that within us that could rise above our baser instincts. Captain James Kirk said that the 5-year mission of the Enterprise was to seek new life and new civilizations, to seek wisdom through exploration. Karen even mentioned it. The inner exploration, right? When we visit other people in other places, we often encounter different ways of living. And this provokes us to really examine our lives anew. Travel's not just about exploring other people in other places, it's about exploring ourselves and testing our limits. So this won't be the case for all travelers. However, in general, most travelers are more likely to examine their own lives. If we are reasonable and objective in our examination, we may conclude that there is more than one way to live. And when we do so, we're more open to diversity and to inclusion and to respect and to honoring all individual expressions of the divine. Star Trek asks us to imagine a world with a hope in a future in which we have explored the earth and learned its lessons. Get that? Explored the earth and learned its lessons. In Gene Roddenberry's imagining of the future, this is what has happened in the 23rd century. We've learned from the lessons. Earth has achieved a peaceful, enlightened, worldwide government and an end to all discrimination based on sex, race, and species membership. It's a paradise where we have solved all of our problems with technology, with ingenuity, and with compassion. There's no more hunger, there's no more war, and there's no more disease. Now, I don't know about all of you, but it sounds pretty good to me, so beam me up, Scotty. The author of Metaphysics of Star Trek, Richard Hanley, says, naturally enough, the boundaries of exploration have been extended into outer space. And just as early explorers on Earth discovered other human life and human civilizations, the explorers of outer space discover extraterrestrial life and extraterrestrial civilizations. Exploring this world has broadened the human mind, and we should expect that the exploration of other planets, other worlds, will broaden it even further. Captain Kirk's invitation is to go where no man has gone before. And I believe that the exploration is not just a physical exploration to visit other people and other places, but I believe that it is a philosophical exploration into what is really the last frontier, our own consciousness. So, what then does it mean to be bold? Bold people are daring. They're courageous. They are not afraid to break the rules. They have their own identity and they're willing to express it. It's about living, speaking, and acting in ways that are both courageous and true to who we are. People who are bold are decisive and firmly committed risk takers who can stand up, make a choice, and move forward boldly. Boldness is about stepping up and stepping out onto the outer edge of our life, to our growing edge, to being comfortable being out there, to pushing the limits of what we think is possible or maybe even what is appropriate. Being bold shouldn't be confused with being impulsive. Impulsive people can seem bold, but their apparent boldness comes not from being clear and determined, but more from being emotionally driven. Sometimes it works out for them, and sometimes not so much. On the other hand, bold people should not be confused with those people who simply have not yet made up their minds. Here we're talking about mentally sorting through all of the emotions and all of the possible options that are available at any given moment. Bold people do ponder and they do sort, but what they do really, really well is to move forward once that choice is made, to not stay stuck, to take that step and move forward. Most of us show up with irregular or part-time boldness. We're able to speak up and to be decisive about some issues and about some people, but not about all issues or about all people. Some of us are able to take a stand when we're backed into a corner or fed up enough. However, we can also turn limp and wishy-washy when we are pushed a little bit too far. For others, making a solid decision or a solid choice isn't a part-time occasional challenge, but a day by day struggle. Choosing where they're going to go to school is no different than choosing what they're going to have for breakfast. It's a struggle. Because we're all unique, our individual versions of boldness will look quite different. Something that might be bold for someone will not be bold for someone else, and vice versa. Everyone is different. We are all individualized expressions, yes? So being bold has to do with getting in touch with our deepest truth, with our passions, with our desires or the dreams that we have in life, and then having the courage to live and to act in a way that's congruent with them. While scary and challenging for most of us, being bold is essential. It's essential to really living an authentic, successful, and fulfilling life. So, how do we do it? What's involved? What are the steps? How can we be practical about this, Dusty? So I have 3 main ideas for us this morning. The first is to be true to yourself. A part of being bold includes having the ability to really honor ourselves, our emotions, and the things that we believe in, to stand behind them, to stand up for them, to be willing to tell and live our truth with courage and with vulnerability and with commitment. Being true to who we are is about being ruthlessly honest and compassionately forgiving. The invitation is for each of us to know who we really are and what is important to us. To really know. Our inner life is our deepest inward experience of being a person. It encompasses our story and our sense of identity. Our inner life is where we connect with God. It is where we experience God's presence in our life. It is the sanctuary at the heart of our being. It is the light of the divine within us. Our inner life is connected to our highest self, the wellspring of our life. It's the part of our experience that matters the most. That wellspring, that inner part, that spark of the divine is the part that matters the most because it shapes everything else. It shapes how we see and how we relate to God. It shapes how we see and relate to ourselves and to each other. It shapes how we see and relate to the world around us. Like a spring, every other part of our life, every other part of the experience of our life flows from that space. And when we are connected with that space, it happens with grace and with ease. There's no resistance, there's no struggle. Ernest Holmes says, our highest satisfaction comes from a sense of conscious union with this invisible life, finding such an inward wholeness that all sense of fear, doubt, and uncertainty vanishes. Heather mentioned it in her prayer. We are all spiritual beings having a human incarnation. Each of us individualized expressions of the divine. And when we live our lives from that awareness, from that innate inner wholeness, then, as Ernest Holmes says, all doubt and fear and uncertainty vanishes. And from that place, just try to stop yourself from being bold. The invitation is to do the inner work. To do the inner work, to know who we really are, and to be true to ourselves, to align ourselves with that power and presence within us. If we're not connected with that aspect of ourselves, we are adrift in life without a soul. When we're connected to it, being bold comes naturally. We must open our hearts, let down our ego defenses, and dare to live authentically. If we want the rewards of a life well lived, we have to live from that place. Daniel Radcliffe says, go boldly and honestly through the world. Learn to love the fact that there is nobody else quite like you. Nobody else quite like you. Be bold about that. Be daring about that. The second idea is to live with passion. Passion comes from within us, not from the external circumstances or the external relationships or the events or the activities that happen in our lives. Being bold is about going for it, not holding back, giving ourselves fully to our work, to our relationships, and to our lives. To be bold, we must live with passion. And to be true to that passion. To find our why and then live from that place. The passion is that which fuels our creativity, and creativity is who and what we are. That passion, that creativity will not be denied. It will continue to keep calling for our attention and calling to be expressed. That little voice inside of us, that knock that keeps coming, that divine discontent. Seen or unseen, spirit always creates. It's always in that state of creation through every breathtaking scenic vista as well as every single challenge. Everywhere at all times in its fullness, always creating. And because this is the truth of spirit, then it absolutely has to be the truth of each and every single one of us. When we listen for and we respond to our intuitive nudges and sparks, we allow the passion and the creativity that is seeking to be expressed through and as us to be expressed. In order to be more aware and more connected to that passion, here's some questions that we can and should ask ourselves. Number one, what do I naturally do that I love and I'm always thinking about doing? What is it that I naturally do that I love and I'm always thinking about doing? Maybe you love being outdoors. Maybe you can't get enough of reading or learning new things or watching airplanes fly or growing roses or cleaning tarnish from old collectibles. Number two, where do I lose myself in an experience? What causes me to lose track of all time? Where did time just fly by? Hours. Maybe it's playing with your grandchildren. Maybe it's fixing wobbly chair legs. Maybe it's going into the kitchen and creating something out of nothing. Number three, where am I the most at home in my own skin? Where am I the most at home in my own skin? Maybe it's baking bread or skiing or hiking or knitting or traveling. And number four, finally, what is the one thing that makes my heart sing more than anything else in the world? Maybe it's singing. Might be visiting art museums, or maybe it's social justice work or activism or feeding the homeless or volunteering at an animal shelter. So the invitation is that when we take the time to get quiet and to ask these kinds of questions, that we allow the answers to emerge. Allow the answers to emerge from within, from that inner sanctuary, that still small voice within us, the voice of the divine. Knowing who we are, what we love, what we care about, and what we are drawn to creates sacred self-awareness. Sacred self-awareness. And when we have that, we're able to live our lives from the awareness of all possibilities and a boldness that we might not otherwise experience. And lastly, step out. Step out. Just do it. The invitation is to not be afraid to challenge ourselves. To be willing to say and do things that are outside of our comfort zone. To do the things that scare us. When we start to challenge ourselves, we force ourselves to step out in life and to step more fully into who we really are. Sometimes when we try to step out of our comfort zone, we get too scared. We don't think that we're ready for such a bold move. We often don't know exactly what we're supposed to do, and we very rarely have a guarantee that it's going to all work out just fine. But we have to have faith. The faith of God, knowing that we are always supported by the universe. As Ray Bradbury famously said, jump and build your wings on the way down. In the film Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Indy and his father set off on a quest to find the Holy Grail. Toward the end of the story, Indy's dad is dying. And the only thing that can save him is water from the cup of Christ, the Grail. Just one problem. Indy must weave his way through 3 life-threatening puzzles. The final test is the most difficult. He must take a step of faith across a ravine. You might remember this from the movie. There's no footbridge, and there's no rope ladder. There's just this chasm into darkness and nothingness. Indy steals his courage, and he demonstrates his faith by stepping out. Once he has stepped, a bridge appears beneath his foot. The way is made clear. And so it can be for us too. Little shifts open the way to big discoveries. Our willingness in each moment to peel back the layers of doing what we have always done in the exact same way all of the time creates spaciousness. There is daring in becoming vulnerable and admitting to being in a space of beginner status. Creative naivete is a wondrous place to inhabit because we aren't jaded by old expectations or old experiences. It's new. It's something new. All creation starts with yes, and the yes that we offer to being different, the yes that we offer to being inexperienced, and even innocence, opens us up to ways of being that are unfamiliar, yet filled with the potential for greater aliveness than we have ever experienced, for greater discovery. There is victory in vulnerability when we risk being true to our creative desires, our intuitive sparks, or our magical dreams. We must drop the armor of knowing it all. Without armor, our senses are heightened and our instincts are fired up. We're ready to go. Brené Brown, one of my favorite authors, says, and I think I'm talking to the majority of us here, or she is, midlife is when the universe gently places her hands upon your shoulders, pulls you close, and whispers in your ear, "I'm not screwing around." All of this pretending and performing, these coping mechanisms that you've developed to protect yourself from feeling inadequate and getting hurt, have to go. Your armor is preventing you from growing into your gifts. I understand you need these protections. You needed these protections when you were small. I understand that you believed your armor could help you secure all of the things you felt you needed to feel worthy and lovable. But you're still searching, and you're more lost than ever. Time is growing short. There are unexplored adventures ahead of you. You can't live the rest of your life worried about what other people think. You were born worthy of love and belonging. Courage and daring are coursing through your veins. You were made to live and love with your whole heart. It's time to show up and be seen. We all long to live alive, to feel alive, awake, energized, and uplifted. The invitation is to step out of our comfort zones and step into authentic spirituality. Authentically knowing who and whose we are. For each of us to tell the spiritual truth, not only to ourselves, but to each other about who we are, so that we can begin to step into the creative truth of our lives. Mary Oliver asks, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? What is it that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? It's time to not just think or live outside the box. We need to destroy the box and recycle the pieces and repurpose the space where the box was sitting. It's time to bring our creative selves and whatever it is that we are wanting to do to the world. Bring it out into the world. Remember, there is no one else like you, no one else that is going to bring your particular gifts and talents to the world. When we boldly do so, we are able to bring those gifts and talents and passions to everyone that we meet and assist in creating a world that works for everyone. A world in the image and likeness of Gene Roddenberry's 23rd century world in Star Trek. The invitation is to dare to be a beneficial presence on the planet, to be willing to boldly go where you have never gone before, and to allow divine goodness to unfold right where you now are. And so it is. So it is. So I invite you to turn within, to allow ourselves to return to that space and place so beautifully set up by Heather, that sanctuary at the heart of our being, that light of the divine that is within us, to allow it and our awareness of it to really permeate all of ourselves, so that there is absolutely no confusion within us about who and what we are. We are divine, emanations of the divine, unique and individualized expressions. There is no one else on the planet quite like we are. Individualized and yet connected. Connected by this golden thread of God's stuff that weaves itself throughout all of life. I know that I am one with it, that I can never be separated from it. No matter what my human perceptions might be telling me at any given time, I am always connected to it. And just as I know that this is my truth, I know that it is absolutely the truth of each and every person here at Sophie's, each and every person listening online, each and every sentient being on the planet. We are one. There's only one thing going on here: the power and presence of God. And it is from that place of unity that I speak these words about and for each of us this morning, truly knowing that we can, that we were created to step into our lives boldly, to boldly go wherever it is that we want to go, and to bring whatever it is that we are to bring along with us. So I claim ease and grace for us about knowing who we are, about aligning with that truth, about living our lives from that space of awareness, so that when those moments of fear come up in us, when those moments of doubt come up in us, that we can say, "Get thee behind me. I am a child of God. I can go anywhere and do anything I want to do. I have enough courage within me. I have the wherewithal to do it, and I know that when I take that first step, the bridge will appear. I will be supported. We will be supported. There's nothing that we can't do. Anything is possible in God." And I'm so grateful to know this truth, so grateful to speak these words. So grateful for the power of prayer, knowing that these words are loosed into a law that only ever says yes, that my words are clothed in form with mechanical regularity. This is the way that creativity works. And so I speak them and I release them into that law, letting go and letting God be God. And I invite each of us to anchor this prayer for ourselves, for each other, for our community, and for the world, simply by saying, "And so it is, and so it is." Thank you all so very much. It is now time for our conscious giving. The Triangle Center for Spiritual Living is sustained, truly sustained by the giving of our time, talent, and treasure. This is a time every week when we offer financial support to assist this community to continue to be a beacon of light and love and warmth throughout the greater Triangle area for ourselves and for others. Together we affirm the truth that today's offering lifts this spiritual community, prospers the one giving, and really shifts the experience of sufficiency on the planet. There are several ways that you can give, and they're here on the screen or on your screens at home. Visit our website at www.trianglecsl.org. Up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a button that says Give. You just click on that, and it'll walk you right through it. You can text the word GIVE using the following number, 919-230-8445, or you can mail your gift to our PO Box, PO Box 4062, Cary, North Carolina, 27519. So please take your gift, hold it against your heart, or simply with an intention for yourselves or this community, and let's say our offering affirmation in a call and response. I live in an abundant universe that blesses and prospers my life. Live in an abundant universe that blesses and prospers my life. I give with gratitude, knowing God is my source. I give with gratitude, knowing that God is my source. And so it is. Thank you all so very, very much. And now, please welcome back to the stage the awesome, the beautiful, the talented Karen Daly.
Thank you, Dusty. Woo! Oh, that was good business. But jump and build your wings on the way down. That made me scared just thinking about it. It shouldn't. And obviously I'm not doing it if it makes me scared thinking about it. But anyway, this is I think this is my favorite Jason Mraz song, and it reminds me, I feel like, of our boldest adventure, choosing to come down here and be these crazy humans that we are. And it's called 93 Million Miles. Can we turn the monitor up just a little smidge, Eva? Just a smidge for me. Thanks. 93 million miles from the sun. People get ready, 'cause here it comes. It's a light, a beautiful light. Over the horizon into your eyes. And oh my, how beautiful. Oh, my beautiful mother, she said, sweet girl, in life, you're gonna go far. And if you do it right, you'll love right where you are. And just know that wherever you go, you can always come back home. $240,000 miles from the moon. We've come a long way to belong here, to share this view of the night, a glorious night. Over the horizon, it's another bright sky. And oh my, how beautiful. Oh, my beautiful father, he told me, girl, in life it may seem dark, but the absence of the light, it's a necessary part. And just know that you're never alone. You can always come back home. Whoa, whoa, you can always come back. Every road, it's a slippery slope, but here's a hand that you can hold. Looking deeper through the telescope, you can see that hope's inside of you. And just know that wherever you go, you will always get back home. Whoa, whoa, whoa. 93 million miles from the sun. People get ready, 'cause here it comes. It's a light, a beautiful light. Over the horizon into your eyes.
Woo! So beautiful. Thank you, Karen. If you would like prayer, please go to our website at trianglecsl.org, and on the homepage there is a button in the upper right-hand corner. Click on that button and fill in the request form. We will get that prayer and send it out to all of the ministers and practitioners. If anyone would like to dedicate a flower dedication to anyone for anything, please send an email to info@trianglecsl.org or to Reverend Dusty at dustyrippelmeyer@yahoo.com. Next, please mark your calendars and plan to join us for our next community meeting. It's on Sunday, May 15th at 2:30 p.m. and will be on Zoom. A link will come out in that week's Wednesday newsletter, or you can get there from the website. It will be an opportunity to once again meet with the community to talk about our next expression as the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living. And please take note, on Sunday, May 29th, our Sunday celebration service will be streamed live from our meditation retreat, which will take place at St. Francis Springs Retreat Center. The meditation will begin at 9:45 and the service at 10:15, and we will not be live that Sunday. We will not be here at Sophie's, so please don't come. But if you do come, stay for lunch. So the meditation will be earlier at 9:45, and the service will start at 10:15. And please join us on our regular Facebook and YouTube channels for that online. Reverend Dusty will be speaking from the Retreat Center, and Miles and Letha Costin will be the musicians from there. We will return to Sophie's on Sunday, June 5th. Thank you for your flexibility in this. We appreciate it. And now, in the comfort of your own home, and for those of you here at Sophie's, please stand for our April affirmation. This is a call and response, so please say it with meaning and repeat after me. Spirit is the creative energy back of everything there is. Spirit is the creative energy back of everything there is. I know that what is true about God is also true about me. I am saturated with the magnificent creativity of the universe itself. I am saturated with the magnificent creativity of the universe itself. Today, I am ready to create a new and transcendent narrative for my life. Today, I am ready to create a new and transcendent narrative for my life. I base it on what is possible and not what has been. I base it on what is possible and not what has been. No longer tomb-bound, I rise up to a higher place in consciousness. No longer tomb-bound, I rise up to a higher place in consciousness. And boldly show up as the creative expression I am. And boldly show up as the creative expression I am. From this place, I create a life of deep meaning. From this place, I create a life of deep meaning. And contribute to a world that works for all. And so it is. Please have a seat. And once again, take a moment, turning within, recognizing Spirit, recognizing that one source that weaves through all of creation. That which transpired today was God. That which is our community is the one energy back of all. I know that as perfection, and I know that as boldness in its essential being. I know that I am one with all of those qualities of Spirit. I know that as the truth of me, as I know that as the truth of each of us, that we are connected in every conceivable way with Spirit, with that perfection, with that goodness. I know this week, as we step into our bolder being, as we take steps to be more authentic each day in who we truly are, in our spirit incarnation, not allowing the humanness that we experience in this moment to dampen our authentic selves, knowing that our week flows in perfection and ease as we go about in loving kindness, showing compassion to all we encounter, showing compassion to ourselves as we forgive those moments where we don't show up exactly how we want to. I recognize that perfection that we are at our core. And I recognize that this week flows with that perfection and with that ease and with that grace. I bless us all as we go about this next week and all its adventures and all its opportunities. I am so grateful for the truth of who we are and whose we are. And I ask you to anchor this with me by saying, and so it is.
Thank you all so very much for your presence here today or out there in electronic land. Thank you to all of the volunteers and the practitioners and to the amazing Karen Daly. Have a really wonderful week, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. I love you all madly. Take care.